association, where we will also be able to progress further in our Krishna consciousness by this association. Come, let's welcome His Grace Dwarkadish Prabhu by three times loudly chanting. Hari Bo, Hari Bo.
कीर्तन करना है कि क्या?
ऐसे उसमें
I will start. Let's save time. आप लोग कीर्तन तो किया होंगे. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ये है ना, ये है ना. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः. श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं. वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपां साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च. हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते. तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंदा. हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. My obeisances to all Vaishnavas, Vaishnavis. Feel very happy, feeling a little younger than what I am, because when I'm with so many young people, feeling more enthused, feeling happy. So we have a beautiful topic to discuss today. These are all some married, some unmarried. I say, na? Mix. Some are married. So as my director was saying, some are married and some are happy, right? My ex-director would say that. Anyway, those who are happy will have to get married eventually. So yeah, I think Mahaprabhu was given a nice topic. And thanks to his endeavor to create this beautiful facility for it's a very conducive environment. I can see it's a beautiful place, nice hall. Last 1 year, maybe 1 year, 6 months. Yeah. It's a very strategic place, nice locality. So Krishna is providing all that we need to go further toward his lotus feet. How beautiful is that? The Lord, through his various agents, his agents in this world are the Vaishnavas. And through his Vaishnava devotees, Krishna is catering to all our spiritual needs. Right? And the more and more we are receptive to gratefully accept what the Lord is providing with a happy heart, with grateful heart, and to that extent, Krishna gives us even more. Because Krishna can give unlimitedly. If we have a capacity to absorb His grace, He can keep on giving. We need to be like a sponge, keeps on absorbing, absorbing, absorbing. So today we would like to see how the topic of communication, how much it is uh, relevant to our Krishna consciousness progress. When I think about this topic, I think of Sripad Rupa Goswami. So when you imagine Rupa Goswami sitting under a beautiful Kadamba tree, and there's a place called Ter Kadam in Vrindavan, in Nandagaon. Imagine him sitting under those beautiful trees of the desire trees of Braja, right? With his palm leaves and his scratch pen, making those palm leaves and meditating on what is important for the future Gaudiya Vaishnavas to learn from all the scriptures I have been reading. Nana Shastra Vicharaneka Nipunam. So he and the Goswamis read so many scriptures. And their job was more like the process of filtration. Right? So when we filter things, we remove what is essential and we let go what is unessential. So all the scriptures in the world, not that everything there is essential. Like you have a nice fruit, but you don't always eat the whole fruit. Like for example, Mataji prepared this nice pomegranate juice for me. She didn't give me a nice pomegranate. Prabhuji, this is for you. I know you like pomegranates. Take the pomegranate. So I would have to, peel off the pericarp and other things, right? But she gave me just the perfect, the juice, the extract. And the juice is the essence of the fruit, correct? Similarly, the acharyas have extracted the essence. Sad dharma samstapakar. All dharma is not sad dharma. There are also sub-religious principles which are not worthy to delve upon so much. Sad dharma, eternal principles of dharma. So when you think about that scenario of Rupa sitting and thinking that, okay, I'm going to write this new book now, today, from today. And the book, I think I should name it as The Nectar of Devotion, right? And Nectar of Instruction. But I think I write first Nectar of Instruction. See, write Nectar of Instruction. The first the first word comes to his mouth is, to his mind is, Vacho Vegam. The first word coming from the heart of this Acharya is, the first instruction I want to give to all my fellow devotees, Dr. is, control your tongue. Vacho Vegam. It's a profound thing, right? He could have thought of something else, na? कितना कुछ बोल सकते थे, क्या क्या बोल सकते थे, right? But the instruction, among all the instructions he wanted, instruction first is learn the art of what you speak. Learn the art of speaking properly. वाचो वेगम. अपनी वाचा को ठीक से उपयोग करने के लिए सीखिए. Then manasa vegam, then krodha vegam, and then ubdaropasta vegam, and then so many other things. And atiyahara priyasascha, and all those things come afterwards, right? But first thing is what? So that itself gives tremendous importance. Yeah, correct? The opening line. And of course, the Holy Scriptures are evidence to this factor of how Vacho Vegam has played its very, very important role in fashioning the various leelas that has taken place in this world. Mataji was talking about Dhruv Maharaj in the car. So Dhruv Maharaj, how did his life change? When Suruchi said that you cannot sit on the lap of your father. because you're not born from my womb. That's it. Right? This young little fellow, he felt completely can't sit in father's feet. I can't sit there. He got down, said, ran to his mother. Mummy, look at what she's saying. I can't sit on my papa's lap. Right? So that was a turning point. Yeah. And those harsh words which came from the mouth of Suruchi were game changer in his life. Right? Ultimately, it all went into his favor. Right? But those words that is said entered like a sharp dagger in his heart. And being a Kshatriya's child, you're not like a child of the today. Somebody said him, कोई मम्मी कभी बोलती है, चिंता नहीं करने का, बैठ जा. He wasn't one of those, right? He was a Kshatriya child. For him to be insulted and humiliated like that means it aroused his anger and his sense of revenge. He said, I cannot bear this. It was intolerable for him. He was a Kshatriya, born Kshatriya, right? So he had to take revenge. What killed Maharaj Dashrath? Who killed him? Who killed him? Hmm? The words of Kaikeyi killed the man who could fight in 10 directions on one chariot. Dashrath. Powerful Yodha. One of the most powerful Yodhas of his time. And descendant of the Ikshvaku dynasty. Right? But a woman, nothing against women, my Mataji's pranam, these are all womanly examples are coming out. I will give one more woman example, but please don't mind. So she said, and you know the past time out, whatever she has said, two things. Get your son to be in the forest for 14 years, and my son will become the king of the world. Right. And of course, how she did it, she was very treacherous. How she trapped her husband, literally blackmailed him and trapped him with a beautiful trap. So he can't escape. You make a promise in front of all the gods, and you will not go back on your words. He said, you're telling a Surya Vamshi. Wow. And all the Adityas and all the Gandharvas and all the stars and the moon, I'll keep my word. Please ask, what is it? What I can give you anything. She trapped in his own promise. Correct? So that pain and agony of Kaikeyi's words, and how Dashrath Maharaj begged to take this back. Please, this will destroy our kingdom, destroy our dynasty. Begged so much. But she was relentless. So that practically killed him. And to add to that pain, when he had to go to the viraha of his dearmost son, that put an end to his life. Right? The most powerful man in the world was killed by the words of his good wife, who had suddenly become very wicked. When Draupadi said those powerful words, Andheka Putra Andha, Duryodhan could not handle that. Just couldn't handle that. It was just too much for him. Right? If somebody else would have said this, he would have taken out his sword and fought with him. But Bhash, you're talking like this, come on, let's have a fight. But when a woman said like that, he knows he can't attack a woman. He can't take a sword and chop off her head. As it is, he was in the prastha, so it's not his place. It's not his home pitch. So he's like a guest here, right? But Andhika Putra Andha. He is insulted, his father is also insulted. Couldn't take it. And ultimately, that was the final amount of gasoline which inflamed his heart into a war-like situation. Correct? So anyway, these are just examples which come to my mind. But all these indicate that how the histories of the world, whether it is Ramayana begins from that point, right? Ram goes to Vanvas. So in one sense, Ramayana begins properly from Kaikeyi's words, and then but I'm going away. Dhruv Maharaj's real life of devotion afterwards starts with Suruchi's words, and then the rest happened. Mahabharata starts from the agonizing words of Draupadi, right? So these few lines have shaped history. They have shaped histories of the world. Mhm. So what is the importance of speech? In today's world, actually, speech is your image. Speech is your, people identify a person uh, by his speech. On the external, superficial, or immediate level, when you see a person, right? I'm talking about in the outside world. I'm not talking about devotees. When you see devotees, you don't know who they are. All are wearing dhoti kurtas and saris. So they are in their natural Vaishnava attire. But in outside world, the way you dress, the car you come out of, and type of watch you wear, and type of glasses you wear, and the way you walk, that determines your who you are. Correct? Hmm. Therefore, people really buy best of cars not because they can afford it or not because they like it, but because they have to present a particular image of themselves. So they try to create, because they don't have that image in themselves. They have to create an image. They have to wear a particular type of dress to fulfill all the deficiencies in their own image. No? Correct? Because they're deficient people, right? So, but after that initial evaluation of a person, वो उसकी रियल पहचान कभी होती है when he sits in the boardroom, starts discussing things, and what he talks there, right, determines ki. Intelligent people can immediately understand a person from the content of his talk, right? As I said, na, that a fool is understood to be a great man till he opens his mouth. एक बार माउथ ओपन कर दिया, बोलते ना पैसा गिर गया, ऐसा ना पैसा गिर गया, like that. So then he loses his value. But if he speaks with that authority, like Prabhupada, he didn't have a great image. He wasn't necessarily very beautiful either from the material point of view. He had a beautiful heart, right? And he wasn't wearing some silky, nice, flowing saffron robes. Cotton, simple Indian cotton, right? And simple Swami shoes. देखने के बाद लगेगा नहीं ये क्या है? Then some Indian Swami, that's all. When he spoke, what happened? The power of his convictions and the purity of his heart was self-evident. Self-evident. And young people like yourself, right? But a lot of you are cultured Indians. And when the counterculture was active in 1960s, people who came to Prabhupada were part of the rebellious counterculture, and they were completely uncultured. We don't want to go into details of how uncultured they were. But yet such people who are uncultured could identify Prabhupada by what? By what? Simply by his Vande Guru Sri Charanaravindam, and surrendered themselves fully. Right? So it determines your image. Secondly, second thing it does is it creates particular environment in our life. Words create environment. So if you want environmental control in your home, then control your, not your air conditioner, control your speech. The air conditioner will control their external environment 24, ठंडा लगता है. But गर्मा गर्मी हो जाती है, तो even 24 में even 18 का temperature will become very hot. When there is what? Garma garmi. You know what is garma garmi? When there are missiles fired from this side and a few from that side, one from Mataji's side, other from Prabhuji's side, then that heat generated is enough to be like a Brahmastra. Right? So the environment of your house, and to keep it happy, peaceful, that means that we'll talk about the positive aspects a little later, but just to be make it important that it determines the environment to create. Like, for example, you go to somebody's house, right? And just now there has been a fight in the house before the guests came. So when you go to the house, you can feel na thoda वातावरण क्या है? As they say, in English, it is tense but calm. After a curfew takes place, shooting, rubber bullets and tear gas, da, 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 da. Everyone just runs away, da, 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 da. So apparently there is no fights now. So what they will say in the film, it is tense but calm. So in the house also it can happen. A lot of tear gas could be there. Nayanam gara dashrudharaya could be there. But when you enter such a house, you know that it is not normal. The Mataji and Prabhu and the people in the house, it is tense, but it is calm. So the environment, and when you go to a house where there has been happiness, people are joking, loving, caring, fun-filled, right? Then the atmosphere is, you feel the vibration is, you can understand what I'm saying? So words create what? Environments. They create images. Words create culture. Words determine a person's culture. कैसा व्यक्ति बोलता है ना, उससे उसको उसका कल्चर पता चलता है. कल्चर मीन्स व्हाट? हिज बैकग्राउंड, हिज संस्कारास, हिज अपब्रिंगिंग, राइट? व्हाट इज द इनर कंटेंट? लाइक इन हिंदी से गाली गलोच, गाली गलोच. So sometimes when we travel around, devotees say, Prabhuji, when my husband is angry now, I can't tell you what he speaks. And the husband will say, Prabhuji, I cannot tell you what my wife speaks when she loses her head. Right? So otherwise, when we are in our controlled environment, then we speak Mataji, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Vanchaka, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. There is a big fight in the house, right? Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Suddenly a phone comes, right? Yes, Prabhuji. जन्म से मीटिंग है ना? आता हूं मैं, आता हूं. 4 बजे आता हूं. Phone starts again. Correct? So sometimes what you have grown up with, what you have seen in your family, what has happened in your family, you may not know, but when we are off control, because कामेश क्रोध रेश रजोगुण समुद्भव. So when रजोगुण का समुद्भव उद्भव होता है, रजगुण जब बढ़ जाता है, तो it can bring out latent culture which we have successfully suppressed, which we have seen, which we have uttered, which we have spoken. The latent culture which we have sort of buried it down and going to more refined Vaishnava culture, those things may actually start, unfortunately, manifesting. Correct? So, व्यक्ति का culture is seen by his words, right? So it gives environment, culture. There is a place, I think in South India somewhere, it's called Mattur. सुना है आपने नाम? Mattur. Mattur is a place where the entire village speaks only one language, and that is Sanskrit. The whole village, you go to the bhaiya, भिंडी कितने का दिया? तो I don't know how to say it in Sanskrit, but the bhaiya will answer you in Sanskrit. It is costing 40 rupees a kilo, whatever. So everything, all transactions, the Kamali Bai who comes to a house also will speak in Sanskrit. And she'll clean house and go away. But she speaks Shuddha Sanskrit. So it's a play Mattur. That shows a very high what? Culture. Very high refined culture of that place. Correct? So the Devatas, they talk in Sanskrit language. Very high culture. Mhm. English language is not supposed to be a very cultured language. Prabhupada did not seem to like that. But because it was the international language and it is spread all over the world, so he said he wrote his books in English so everyone can understand. The next thing about speech is two things: the content of speech and the intent of speech. Both has to be considered in when you evaluate speech. When you evaluate somebody's speech, then you evaluate speech in two ways: what is the content and what is the intent, right? So if I ask you, dear devotees, which is more important, what will you say? How many of you say content is more important? Nobody. How many say intent is more important? Okay, third voting. How many say both are important? Yeah. So before we even talk of intent, that takes some time, that takes some homework. First is to work on our content, what we are speaking, how we are speaking, right? So there are, and the content depends upon the modes. Mhm. Sataguni speech will be different. Rajaguni speech will be different. Tamasic speech will be very different, right? So the modes in which we operate, the modes in which our consciousness operates, that determines the content of our speech. Correct? Mm. And since most of us are usually afflicted by Rajagun, unfortunately, because of living in a very Rajasic environment, Hyderabad is extremely Rajasic. Extremely Rajasic. You can just go around the place, Prabhuji. Yes, and buildings and offices, big hospitals and showrooms and malls and Lulu Mall, Lulu. What is the Lulu? I saw that. Right. So extremely Rajasi environment in Hyderabad is there. Of course, the whole world is like that. So you cannot be not affected. We may say lotus and all those things in the world, not of the world. बोलना easy है, होता नहीं है इतना, right? We are affected, deeply affected, not affected, deeply affected by environment. Mm. So when you go to your office, highly Rajasic environment will be there. People are working deadlines and working hard, promotion, performance, numbers, push. The top management is pushing, then the next pillar is pushing, then it's pushing. Everyone is pushing, get things done, move forward, progress. First quarter is getting over. Ah, you have to show your performance, right? All these things are there, very, very tough. It's a very Rajasic environment. So the speech becomes also Rajasic. So when Rajasic speech is there, the content also will be difficult because it will be Rajasic in nature. What will be the content of Rajasic speech? Like what will it be like? What do you think? Hmm? Huh? It, hi. Hi. Hurried speech. Okay. What else? What would be the according to you, the understanding of what would be Rajasic speech? Huh? Competitive type of speech. Okay. Huh? It may be loud. Amplitude may not be like higher amplitude. It will be speech which is intended to, especially the opposite gender. You want to attract people towards you. Okay. Then it'll be centered around the word I will come very often. According to me, in my opinion, I. 50 बार I आएगा उसके अंदर. Everything else will be less, but I will be coming very often. Right? I and mine, my opinion, my opinion. Yes, that is Rajasic speech. You're right. Huh? It will show off. It had to show off. Correct. True. There won't be less of substance inside, but more of show off. It may be rash. It may be rash and sometimes even rude. Right? It may be a little hurtful. When it is offensive, it is not rajasic, it becomes tamasic. It is offensive. It is no longer in the realm of Rajagun, but at least rash, rude, and not premeditated type of talk. सतोगुण में कैसा होता है? सतोगुण में you think before you speak. In Rajagun, you think after you speak. Ayyo, I messed it up. In Tamasic, you say, I don't care. Whatever I spoke. You're careless about it. This is the attitude towards your own speech. Right? तो सतगुण में सोचना है फिर बोलना है. Someone said this very nice. This is good. Regarding speech, we talk about thinking and speaking. So when suppose you're in a gathering, in a meeting, in a boardroom, or in a team discussion, whatever, कुछ संगत में बैठे हैं आप लोग, right? And कोई topic चल रहा है, something is being discussed, right? And something is to be spoken. You have to ask 3 questions to yourself before you speak. Before you speak. Should I speak this? No. Is it okay to speak this? Is it okay for me to speak this? And is it okay for me to speak this now? Right? 3 questions. Should this be spoken? Should this be spoken by me? Should this be spoken by me now? If you ask these 3 questions, whenever it was supposed to speak, you will get the answer. नहीं तू मत बोल रहे किसी और को बोलने दे. You don't speak it. I said, no, you don't speak now. You speak after him or her. Right? Or you speak after the meeting is over with the boss. Whatever the answer may come out, right? So when you ask these 3 relevant questions, when you're supposed to open your tongue, then you will get the answer. Ask these 3 questions. Very good questions to ask. When we talk about speech, it's not about just spoken words. What is speech? What actually is communication? It's not about spoken words. I forget the scientist's name now. But there was a clinical psychologist, a research scientist. He evaluated, he said that communication, the whole part of communication, only 7% is spoken words. Only 7% is spoken words. 34% is the tone and amplitude of speech. And the rest is body language. That means communication is not happening only through the oral cavity. It's happening through the whole body. I'll give you a little bit of small demo here. I'll speak two words, okay? And you'll see the different responses. आ गए आ गए आ गए आ गए आ गए. Two words, different responses, right? You could get different meanings from each. One is out of sneha, आ गए. Other out of आ गए, arrogance, आ गए. That means full of fear. Simple, you know. So if the words were not relevant here so much as the tone, आ गए. My tone is different. All of you understood what this means, right? Right? So that indicates only tone has changed, nothing else, right? So what, as they say, oftentimes very important this is, it's not what you speak. Please understand this, very important. It's not what you speak, it's how you speak. That will determine the impact it creates on the people. You can speak whatever you want to speak, but a Vaishnava learns the art of speaking it properly. Uses the right words, uses the right tone, uses the nice body language. वो सीखना पड़ता है. So according to the speech, जब बात करते हैं, there are 3 levels of speech. You can say they are also sattva, rajas, and tamas, but otherwise also there are 3 levels of speech. This is deeply being analyzed. So there is something called as human level speech. Second is subhuman speech. And third is Vaishnava speech. तो 3 कैटेगरी के स्पीचेस हैं. So of course, Prabhuji said how he's talking about, how we talk in the house as grihasthas, but these are foundational principles which are more important first, right? And they are universal. Therefore, whether you use this principle in a husband-wife relationship, or use among fellow devotees, or you use in your office or on the roadside with people around, foundation principles can be applied as far as the Desh Kal Patra. Correct? So we'll talk about more foundation principles first, and then we may talk something more specific based on questions. Okay? So, see, subhuman speech is very easy to understand. And the first thing about subhuman speech is it's completely taboo for devotees. Offensive speech, critical speech, vulgar speech, talking about wine and women speech, extremely frivolous speech, right? These are all considered as subhuman. And in outside world, this is very common. This type of speech you will see. It's frivolous. It's always backbiting somebody. It's oftentimes offensive. Correct? ये बाहर की दुनिया में आपको बहुत देखने मिलेगा, बार बार देखने मिलेगा. See it very often, right? Human speech. They used to have t-shirts, remember before? Being human. अभी पहनते नहीं है. So they given up the idea. It doesn't work, looks like. It doesn't work to become human being. We are whatever we are. Animal ही सही है. द्विपद पशु अच्छा है. Not out of fashion now. Being human. So human speech, it is polite. It is a little bit courteous. You use civilized words or say refined words. Hmm? It is meaningful. It is also sensitive. That means you are aware as to किसके साथ बात कर रहे हैं. पत्नी से बात कर रहे हैं तो अलग बात करेंगे. माँ से बात कर रहे हैं अलग से बात करेंगे. फ्रेंड से बात कर रहे हैं अलग से बात करेंगे. बॉस से बात कर रहे हैं तो अलग से बात करेंगे. है कि नहीं? So, but this will be there. And but then there is another quality of speech called as Vaishnava speech. It is a perfection of the art and science of speech. Vaishnava speech. We see in our acharyas, great devotees, pure Vaishnavas, advanced souls, right? Whatever they speak is backed up by Shastra. It is completely based on Shastra. Prabhupada, whatever you would speak, when you read in Prabhupada's ordinary conversations, Prabhupada in Mayapur, Prabhupada here, Prabhupada there, right? If you spoke something, he would always, after a few sentences, say, it is mentioned, Jane ke Pandit bolte hain, sir. It mentioned there, so and so. He'll always give a reference, right? So even regular speech would be all completely entrenched in authority. It's always, Vaishnava speech is always glorifying. It's very, very positive. It's glorifying Krishna, glorifying Vaishnavas, right? There is Nindadi Shunyam. That means it is never fault finding. You won't find Vaishnavas, pure Vaishnavas, find no any fault finding. Nindadi Shunyam. No Ninda. This is what you and I are ultimately aspiring for. Right now we are working on which level? Human level. उतना चलेगा. अपना level क्या है पहले? As I say, first become normal. है ना? Some of our Swamis are saying this nowadays in ISKCON. First become normal. Because start to think I'm Vaishnava, so start thinking about normal. Do not think too high of yourself. पहले normal बन जाओ. Be normal, act normally. This is now. Let's get into what is good communication. Okay, if you take the previous example again, in the subhuman speech, if you go again with the content, intent, understanding, the content is good or bad? Bad. Intent is good or bad? Bad. In human communication, content is good or bad? Good. Intent is good or bad? Question. We don't know. It depends on the person. In Vaishnava communication, intent is correct. So you can see just by using this content intent formula, you can understand the spectrum of speech. The whole spectrum from lowest category of speech to the highest category is based only on two things, content and intent. Very simple. Very simple. So at all times we remain conscious of our content and our intent. So real good speech. See, this is one of the Vaishnava qualities also. How many qualities of Vaishnavas are there? How many? 26. Right? One of the qualities of Vaishnava speech is he is soft spoken. How many of you have heard Bhakti Rasamad Maharaj speak? सुना है ना? सबने सुना है, बहुत जन ने सुना है, कोई कोई लोग ने नहीं सुना है. Right? But how do you find his speech? Huh? Exemplary. Even if you meet him personally also. Very sober, very kind, very philosophical, very purely intended. Content is good, right? Uh, there is a particular surname, in Maharashtrians and in Maharashtra. Uh, now the surnames are also very interesting sometimes. What surnames people get? The surname is Godbole. You heard anybody like that in your Marathi? Your Maharashtrian? It's in Pune. So I have got patients like that. Godbole. So I find it interesting. कैसे हो उनका पूर्वज कैसे रहे होंगे? कि गोड बोले म्हणजे गोड गोड मीन्स स्वीट बोले मुझे बोलने की पद्धति राइट जो भी बोलते हैं वो कैसा है गोड है गोड गोड एंड कड़ू गोड मीन्स वेरी स्वीट उनका नाम पड़ गया गोड बोले राइट तो डिवोटीज we sometimes always tell devotees Prabhuji whatever your name is na it should be Dwarkadish Das Godbole Amal Mahaprabhu Das Godbole whatever your name will be, na, you please add the unseen word. It should be all ending in God bole, right? Because that defines your culture, that defines your modes, that defines so many things. If you have the proper God bole attitude and God bole speech, uh, right? So good speech, good speech. There are 3-4 qualities which we should try to cultivate when we are speaking. One is it should be kind. Vaishnava speech should be kind. See, Radha Maharaj once said this. I think and some of the devotees also echoed the same sentiment. We don't eat meat. How many of you eat meat here? कितने लोग मांस खाते हैं हर रोज पका के हर रोज घर पर कोई नहीं करता नाइस वेरी गुड व्हाई डोंट यू ईट मीट हाँ who said violence okay, good answer we don't eat meat there are many reasons not to eat meat Prabhuji can give you a whole seminar क्यों ईट नहीं खाने का 4 घंटे के लिए बोल सकते हैं right but we pick up only one word here right because it is an act of violence so the question to all of you my dear friends is can tongue cause violence can it cause violence how many of you have been hurt by that violence you've been hurt by that violence okay and how many have you hurt by your violence honest very honest very honest right so which gives more hurt the sword or the tongue which gives more pain the sword or the tongue in Duryodhana's case did the sword would the arrows of Arjuna cause more pain or the arrows of his wife speaking Andeka Putranda? Which caused him more pain? Words. That means words are extremely powerful. Very, very powerful. Once you release an arrow and it hits your heart, it can wound you. It can wound you. Now, those of you who have been hurt by somebody, just raise your hands, those of you who have been hurt by somebody. Okay. So I'm going to ask this question to you. How long were you hurt? When were you hurt? When? 6 months back, 1 year back, last life? Huh? 4 years back. Anybody who raised his hand remembers the hurt from beyond 4 years? Is that the maximum amount of time? Or somebody was hurt 5 years back? 5 years back. How long were you hurt? 15 years back. You are laughing at them. Why are you laughing at him? It's not worth laughing. It's a serious matter. है ना? 15 साल पहले किसी ने कुछ बोला है, राइट? अभी भी वो जख्म भरा नहीं है. The wound is not healed. When you do any supramajor surgery also, like a bypass surgery, you cut open your chest, your sternum is cut. You put your heart, repair some blocked vessels, you put wires, bring back the sternum, you wear a corset for a few weeks, and the bones heal. And after you open your chest, you may find some insignificant traces of a major surgery. Within 3 months maximum तो खत्म हो जाता है. इतना बड़ा काटने के बाद, they use a saw, practically they use a saw to cut it, right? And yet the wound heals in few months. But these wonderful souls, right? They've been hurt by somebody. Now that somebody, was it very close to you or very distant from you? So please remember, so we are deriving principles of speech from our practical observations here, right? And the closer you are, the more power you have to hurt somebody. The closer relationship with that person, the greater is the power of speech over him. Somebody, hurt you, some rickshaw wala ne aapke chile, badmash chain deta nahi hai, Somebody just spoke to you like that, or somebody stepped over your leg, or in the second class compartment in the train, somebody just pushed you, and then, you spoke, hey, सीधा खड़ा रहे हो, खड़ा रहने को नहीं आता क्या? Then he spoke also, and he also spoke, he gave his side also. Hey, चल रहे चुबेट क्या? बाहर निकल. So if somebody said like that, something wild to you, right? But then you thought, hey, how much time I have to spend this fellow? I get down when Bandra comes, I have to get down Bandra. That fellow will get down at Andheri. Khatam ho gaya, right? Today was a bad day, but tomorrow what I will do? I forget that. What I got to do, that rascal, the mad fellow. Khatam ho gaya. But because he's a stranger, the strangers can hardly hurt. And when they hurt for a very short period. But the close ones, family, especially close means usually family, correct? Family or intimate friends, let's say like that. The intimate ones, they have the greatest power to hurt somebody. Right? So, dear devotees, you don't eat meat because it is an act of violence. But when we hurt, what is that? Is it violence? Is it violence? Yes, it is violence. So we are not practicing ahimsa if we are not controlling our speech. We are not practicing ahimsa. We cannot say, you go to US. When I go to US, then they will say, Prabhuji, idhar doodh milta hi nahi hai. Every time we go for milk now, we can never be sure that cow gave milk, but what happened to the cow? We can never be sure. But then this milk, they say, this is a protected cows and all these things. So we are getting this milk. I think it is good milk. Probably you take it. So it's fine. Le lo, pee lo. Right? Right? So we are so careful about drinking only what? Ahimsa milk. You heard this word? Ahimsa milk? सुना है आपने? नहीं सुना है? सुना है. Right? That means you take cow's milk, you take A2 cow's milk, but you have to be very sure that cow is not sent to the wrong place after she stops giving milk. Right? You, you're only allowed to eat, ideally speaking, milk of that cow who is not sent to the slaughterhouse. If she goes to slaughterhouse, then somehow you're also implicated in because you have drunk her milk. अब रेडी बन गए उसके और then that cow was killed in the wrong way. Correct? So we should be drinking only what? Ahimsa, because we are followers of ahimsa in one sense. We don't want to hurt. But as devotees, when we hurt fellow devotees, who are close to us with our speech, we are practicing hinsa. We're practicing hinsa. So there's no value to your not eating meat. Right? There's no value to eating meat. Right? Because hurting a goat is bad. But if bad speech hurts a Vaishnava, it is worst. So we have to be very careful in our dealings with the Vaishnavas. How we talk to Vaishnavas, it should be respectful, it should be kind. The best speech is a speech where you really are appreciating others. Which is easier of the two types of speech? Fault finding speech or appreciative speech? Which is easier to practice? Do you need seminars on how to find faults with Vaishnavas? 3-day crash course, free of charge. Amar will advertise. Come, I'll teach you how to offend Vaishnavas. You don't need a crash course for that. Because intrinsically we are trained to find, because of ahankar, that we are thinking we are good and everyone else is bad. So you find fault. She is like this, she is like that, he is like this, he is like that. But who's perfect? You know it, right? Obviously, all of you know who's perfect here. That's the attitude that's why that the person who finds faults has that attitude. That he is perfect and he has a right to find faults with you people. I know. Correct? So, therefore, this is put in very high by the acharyas. Find fault finding tendencies को बहुत ऊंचा स्थान दिया है कि ये कभी नहीं करना है, ये चीज नहीं करना है. And this is so difficult. I'm sure those of you been practicing devotees for a few years, you will be finding it difficult also, right? And to not find fault in devotees is very difficult because you see somebody is doing something wrong. Sir, Prabhuji, क्या करने का? वो दिख रहा है वो बुरा कर रहा है वो. आंख आंख बंद कर पट्टी मार देने का आंख के ऊपर दिख रहा है गलत कर रहा है अंधा बन जाने का क्या I cannot be blind no you tell me no fault finding is what I should be blind or what कर रहा है गलत कर रहा है and it is a sin to allow somebody to doing wrong in front of you. Then some story will come from the Puranas. This person he did something and something happened in front of him and because he allowed it condoned it तो उसको वो hell में चला गया. Some Puranic study will come like that. तो ऐसा लिखा गया है. You should not allow wrong to take place. क्या करना चाहिए? This question is going to be obvious, I'm sure. Someone will ask this. Therefore, the only way, and of course, fault finding is usually born out of envy of people. It's very dangerous. So the good speech would be where we train ourselves to appreciate. Kind speech, appreciative speech, empathetic speech. Kind means it is not hurtful. It has to be kind, right? Then empathetic speech means what? That you are conscious that when you are speaking, what will be the impact on your wife, your husband, your friends, your fellow devotees. You are conscious of the impact it will create. हम तो क्या है जो भी मन में है बोल देते हैं भाई प्रभु जी हम तो हमारा तो स्वभाव ऐसा है हम क्या है हम तो बड़े स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड है हम बिंदास है वी डोंट मीन्स आवर वर्ड्स गलत गलत स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड है हम लोग तो उसमें भी अहंकार उसमें भी अहंकार करने का राइट दैट्स आवर नेचर करेक्ट सो दे से दे आर स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड दैट इज नॉट स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड दैट इज नॉट स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड as I said, you should know what to speak, when to speak, how to speak. It's not straightforward. So, being kind, being empathetic means understand what will be the impact on the opposite person. Hmm? And being appreciative is the only way to counteract fault finding speech. You can counteract the vicious tendency for fault finding only with the power of positive, appreciative speech. So, oftentimes in counseling, when we are counseling boys and girls and newly married boys and girls, you know, they'll always fight. In the beginning of marriage life, it's common. Nothing new. So, if you get married and if you're fighting, it is what? It is not. Don't divorce each other. ऐसा होता है, right? So you will fight, and you will fight on what? What topics? Stupid topics. You just look at it when you fight. When you look at it, kya? If somebody, somebody comes to say, we fought on this subject. Prabhu ji, kya? इस पे तो लोग झगड़ा करते हैं क्या? ये झगड़ा करने जैसा कोई चीज है क्या? You will fight on what? Insignificant, what is called in English as trivia. What is it called as? Trivia. Trivia म्हणजे काय? तुच्छ. But when you fight, it is no longer tuchha, it becomes. So, what is the goal of fighting when between husband and wife? What is the goal? What is each one trying to achieve through that fight? Whatever you do, you have to, there is a purpose, na? जो भी करते हैं आप लोग आए हैं यहाँ पर क्यों आए हैं? Purpose. You want to learn something, you're going to discuss something, you come here to learn something. The purpose of coming to this discussion today. The only thing you do is the purpose. When husband and wife fight, what is the purpose they are trying to achieve? Huh? They're proving that I am right. Not better, but I am right. Topic is not important. Could be दूध जल गया या दरवाजा खुला रह गया या फिर नल खुला रह गया, whatever, could be anything, could be anything under the sun, right? But it has to be two things: trivia. It will be complex. It has to be stupid topic first of all, and then that fight is over. Who is going to have the last word? Right? Who is going to have the last word? But as they say, even if you, the wife or the husband, has a last word, you won the battle, but you lost the war. So, when Vaishnava husband and wife fight, what should be their goal? देखो कर्मी लोग तो फाइट करते हैं, they want to prove something कि I'm better than you. If Vaishnava chokri or Vaishnava chokra are fighting, they should be different, na? Because we are, what? We are Vaishnavas. We are, what? 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 We are not ordinary people. We are Vaishnavas. Come on, yaar. Kanti, tilak, and all. Dhoti, voti pehna ke rakha. We are Vaishnavas. So we should have a different goal in our fighting. We should fight over trivia only, but it should be a different goal. What should be the goal? Huh? What is that? Servant. The goal should be that I lose and you win. When I am fighting with you and you are fighting with me, my goal should be I should fight, 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 fight. And then one mind said, yes, you are right. And I am completely wrong. Right? So you win this battle and I lose the battle. Right with you. In that what happens is you lose. So इसमें कैसा है? इसमें हारने से आपकी क्या होगी? जीत होगी. और उसमें क्या होता है? जीतने से आपकी क्या होती है? हार होती है. When कर्मी husband and wife fight, जो जीतता है वो क्या है? वो असल में हारता है. And when Vaishnava boys and girls fight, जो हारता है वो क्या है? वो जीतता है. So you can fight. Fighting is what he said. It is normal. Fighting is normal. But of course, as time goes by, you become tired of it. कितना फाइट करेंगे? सब पे फाइट करके हो गया. दरवाजा खुला रह गया था, वो फाइट करके हो गया. नल खुला था, वो भी फाइट. गीला टॉवल बेड पर रख दिया, वो भी फाइट हो गया. फिर अरे फोन नहीं किया था, उसका भी फाइट हो गया. देरी से क्यों आया, उसका भी फाइट हो गया. मतलब एवरी टॉपिक पे फाइट कर सकते थे, वो फाइट हमने कर लिए. अभी हमारे पास कोई टॉपिक बचा नहीं है फाइट करने के लिए. सब चीज फाइट करके हो गया. राइट? अभी क्या करेंगे? फाइट करना बंद कर देंगे. Right? So eventually you come to accept the person as he is. Right? Eventually, when you become more mature, when we are just married 25, 26, 30 years old, we may think we are mature, but actually we are quite stupid. We've been affected by Cupid, that's one thing, but actually we're still quite stupid. When I say what stupid means, that we are still not mature. But eventually when you become a little more mature, we said, it is not worth spending time on fighting. You realize, kya zarurat hai? I mean, we fight and then after a fight, what will happen? What will happen after a fight? All cables are, communication cables are broken. There is what? Curfew. हुआ है कर्फ्यू घर पे? हुआ है कर्फ्यू? आप शादी किया है? किया है शादी ना? हाँ. You know what is curfew, na? All communication channels are broken. Now that curfew can last for how many, for how long? Usually, in your life, how much the curfew lasted? Few minutes? परमहंस है आप तो. Anybody less परमहंस than him? Who else is married? You married? Married or happy? Married. चलो ठीक है. So how much did the curfew last after the marriage, after the war? Huh? 1 or 2 days. Is more realistic. This is what? Normal. Right? During those 2 days, how was your sadhana? Hmm. Hmm. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Why did she say this? Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Next time I also will take care of that. Ram Ram, Hare. उसको ऐसा नहीं बोलना चाहिए था ना, राम राम हरे हरे हरे. लेकिन मेरा भी गलती है, हरे कृष्णा. Right? So you are chanting Hare, but your mind is all between every two mantras. It is what she said, what I said, what she said, I said. right? And then after such a good fight you have, what is the Vaishya thinks? This world is full of dukhalayam. क्या कर सकते हैं? वो बोला था सच है, आचार्य गलत नहीं हो सकते, दुखालय ही है। मैं तो सोचा था मेरा घर अलग कुछ होगा, लेकिन मेरे घर में भी ऐसा ही दुखालय। फिर उसके बाद क्या होता है दुखालय के बाद? डिटैचमेंट। Nobody really loves you in this world. You get all these lofty thoughts after a fight. You'll get very lofty thoughts. You start feeling detached from the material world. Mm. You feel philosophy is right. You know, all these very beautiful thoughts will come to your mind. But they're all illusory thoughts. They will not last for too long. Right? So, as you mature, then the amount of time of curfew, no, you all are laughing. I'm happy you are laughing. But we've had cases of fights of husband wife where the non-communication channel goes on for a few months. Husband wife don't talk for months. They are so deeply hurt because क्या होता है? When we are fighting, na, when we are quarreling, when we are bickering, right? Then you don't know what you are doing. You don't even know what you are speaking. But at that time, बुद्धि नाश प्रणशति, पता नहीं क्या बोल रहे हैं. I hate you. I don't love you. वो बोलेगा तू get out from my house. You go to your father's place. So this is not your house. This is my house. Look at my name is first on the house. Right? All sorts of things. Anything, any bakwas will come out. मम्मी तुमको ये सिखाया क्या? तुम्हारे पापा ने तुमको ये सिखाया क्या? हाँ तुम डिवोटी को क्लास में जाती हो ना, ऐसे ही सब सीख के आती हो. क्या 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 निकल सकता है. All sorts of things will come out. So many arrows would have been shot, and those arrows may leave you wounded for a few months sometimes. And I've seen sometimes, I know some people who have never been able to come back to normal after those initial fights. They just couldn't come back to a natural, happy, normal, lovey-dovey, friendly relationship. हुआ ही नहीं वापस. हुआ है थोड़ा सा उसमें वो गैप रहेगा. उस गैप कभी सील नहीं हो पाया. नहीं हो पाया. So please, my dear devotees, please be aware, right? Be very careful in your married life. Your best friend in your life is your married partner. Yes, Krishna is ultimate friend, but how far is Krishna? And what do we really know about Krishna? Nothing, practically nothing. But Krishna has kindly sent us a partner to be on his behalf one of our best friends, right? Who will help us, who will assist us, who will accompany us in the journey of our life. Kitna rare चीज है to get a partner who is sahacharini, right? Who's accompanying you in your journey. Our journey is not ordinary, my dear devotees. Our journey is a very beautiful journey. Our journey is towards Sri Krishna Charan, right? And for such a lofty, beautiful, exalted journey, you require an appropriate partner. And Krishna, out of his infinite intelligence, will send you a perfect person based on what is best for you. So we need to accept with a grateful heart whom Krishna has given us. Yes, there could be many more beautiful boys who could marry our beautiful girls here. Yes, there could be many more beautiful girls which could have married our handsome boys here. That is not the point. About who was more beautiful or who was more handsome. who's more qualified, who's earning more money is not at all important in marriage life, right? For married life is important is that our married partners are gifts of the Lord. इन क्रिश्चियन ट्रेडिशन ये उसको बहुत ऊंचा ये जो सभी बोल रहा हूं आपसे इसको बहुत ऊंचा स्थान दिया जाता है कि see your partners as gifts of Krishna. They will say gifts of Jesus. Let them say that. But for us, it is a gift of our beloved Lord. Mhm. So, uh, we do not want to spoil that relationship by unwanted fights and bickering and, you know, we have to make the best of what is given to us. And if Krishna has given us something, we have to make the best out of it, not the worst out of it. Hmm? So, dear devotees, uh, try to see, yes, there could be some misunderstandings, that's true, but a sign of your purification, a sign of your maturing, a sign of your growth in Krishna consciousness is that you do not really spend so much time anymore in those stupid quarrels. And another sign of maturity would be to not, what they call in English as, let bygones be bygones. That means suppose you fought over something, right? Today, something happened, you fought. Hmm? The tendency is what? When you have the next fight, what do? You, what do? You recruit. You recruit the last time's fight into the present fight. So already there's a lot of garma garmi going on here. And then you bring the old stuff also. उससे क्या होगा? उससे क्या होगा? There will be more smoke and more fire, right? So devotees have to practice the art of let bygones be bygones. अगर दूध भर के निकल गया, ठीक है, खत्म हो गया. Forget about it. Milk is gone out of the tumbler. Forget it. Hmm? The example given is very beautiful. We will take some questions after 10 minutes. So when husband and wife fight, that means bad communication is taking place. Then Prabhupada gives some very nice examples. You may have heard this before. Uh, So the Prabhupada compared it to goat fight. The goat fight probably you have not seen and I have not seen. I don't know how many of you have seen. मैंने तो देखा नहीं है. But theoretically understand when two goats in the village, they have these horns, na? And they lock it up. And they're going to stab each other practically. इतना गुस्सा, इतना क्रोध, इतना रिवेंज लेने का. The goats separate out. And one goat goes this side, one goat goes that side. As if nothing has happened. So that means the goat fight is not looks serious, but it is not serious. Mhm. Similarly, husband-wife fight looks very serious. But Prabhupada has again told us, don't take your quarrels with your partners serious. They are what? They are what? Insignificant. उसको क्या करो? क्या करो? भूल जाओ. भूल जाओ. Another example is given is about when you're eating your prasad, your tasty prasad. Oh my God. How many of you have bit your tongue while eating? Bit your tongue, right? What did you do after that? Who bit the tongue? Whose tongue was it? Your tongue. Whose teeth was it? Your teeth. Your teeth, your jaws, your tongue. Whose wife is it? Whose husband is it? किसका हस्बैंड है? बाजू वाला का हस्बैंड है? किसका हस्बैंड है? किसका हस्बैंड है? So what did you do when you bit your tongue? What did you do? You continued to eat. You tolerated the pain, but you continued to. You didn't say, आज खाने का मूड नहीं है, नहीं खाऊंगा, चट क्या इतना जबरदस्त काट लिया, अभी नहीं खाने का है, शाम को खाऊंगा. ऐसा नहीं करते ना. You wait for a while. अब पानी दे, पानी दे, पानी पियेंगे. तो बहुत पेट पूरी तरह से कट लिया. कोई बात नहीं, कोई बात नहीं. हस्बैंड विल से, वाइफ विल से, कुछ नहीं, ठीक हो जाएगा. जस्ट थोड़ा 2 मिनट के लिए शांत बैठो. Again you start eating, right? So your relationship does not get affected. Similarly, when you fight, right? For some time there will be some pain, but the relationship should what? Should go on. Correct? So there is no possibility of having a healthy husband-wife, man-woman relationship unless there are two things: the willingness to tolerate and the willingness to forgive. Unless these two things are not actively being practiced, the willingness to tolerate and the willingness to forgive, these are the most beautiful skills and tools which Vaishnava lifestyle gives us, right? Which we can practice profusely in our Grihastha life. The willingness to just let go, just let go. Let bygones be bygones. Why? Because the husband and wife have not come together for something like this, for fights. They come for a very special purpose together. So why waste time when you have a quarrel? As Prabhu said, for sometimes for 2 days there may be, upset minds. And as I said, sometimes, it could be even going even over more days. And please remember, the more days, the more time goes without you coming back together, the more difficult it becomes to come back together. And the process of fermentation should not come about. When you leave something behind, तो क्या होता है उसको, food gets fermented. After 2 days it is more fermented. After 10 days it is rotten. Correct? Similarly, when you don't actively again bring that relationship and you allow it to ferment, more time goes, more fermentation. More time goes, more fermentation. It becomes very difficult. Then the ego will say, who will come and say sorry first? Someone has to come take the lead, na? तो किसको बोलना चाहिए? Who should say sorry? Husband or wife? What is the opinion of the August Assembly? How many of you say wife should say sorry? Raise your hands. Wife should say sorry. Okay, 4 of you. How many of you are saying husband should say sorry? Mataji, you all have lost. Our husbands are wiser. Right? It is not important. The important thing is who really cares for the relationship will say sorry. One who really understands the value of this beautiful relationship, this friendship, which we have to nurture throughout for the next 40, 50 years of our life. Right? 50 years का loving contract हुआ है अपना शादी में. So, one who values and understands this, which will say, अरे यार, I blew it up यार, sorry. क्या टेंशन था पता नहीं, दिमाग सटक गया मेरा कल, तो मैंने क्या अनशन बोल दिया होगा. I think it's all right यार, थोड़ा let go कर दी देना. Whatever way you want to say it, whatever you want to communicate it, but at the earliest, try to finish it off. In fact, my Masaji, wise man, sometimes he was a pious man, not necessarily devotee, but a pious gentleman. He told me many years back, when before getting married, I was in medical college. He said, Dhaval, Joe, एक वस्तुता निकाऊं छुआ. Said, Sushimasa, I'm telling you something very important. I said, what? If you ever fight with your wife, no, finish off the whole matter on that day itself before the next day. Don't leave the fight till the solve it off on the same day. Next day, नया दिन, नई बात. Bank balance, zero. Start all over again. No carry forwards. No carry forward. Carry forward last night ka, वो दिन का, वो दिन का, वो दिन का. Delete. Correct? So the best policy for all of you would be, if you ever fight uh, on stupid or unstupid matters, whatever the matter may be, on before the next day starts, and the night, what we should do, we're together in the bed or wherever you all are together, just talk it out and sleep with a peaceful mind and a heart. Yes, we are again back as friends, loving friends of each other. Right? We don't want to carry any baggage. हो गया, खत्म हो गया. It may take some time. Or sometimes they say that even if suppose morning go quarrel ho gaya and husband goes to job and wife may go to job or maybe she's homemaker, whatever it may be. So the husband comes home late at night, 10 o'clock. If you have the energy to talk at 10 o'clock and solve the matter, talk it out. And if you're exhausted beyond capacity, you tell the wife, I know you want to talk to me, but I just can't handle this. I'm completely exhausted. Can you talk about this tomorrow? Or maybe on Sunday? And weekend mein thoda sa, I'll be also a little relaxed, right? So you can postpone it, but give it some time. Give it the time it deserves. And then there is no time. देखो आधे घंटे में खत्म करने का, जो भी बोलने का बोल दो. Your time starts now. बोलो क्या बोलना है. ऐसा मीटिंग नहीं होता है. Let the heart be ventilated. You speak out, she speaks out. नहीं ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए था, ऐसा नहीं बोलना चाहिए था, ऐसा नहीं हो सकता. Back and forth हुआ. Then समझौता. Right? It may take half an hour, it may take 15 minutes, it may take 2 hours, whatever it is. It's time worth spent. Finish it off. Finish it off. Right? Let not those scars remain in your heart. Scars नहीं रहना चाहिए. And devotees have friendly fights. They don't have serious fights. No serious fights. So sometimes it's very funny, you know. Husband has to run to office, wife also has to run to office, and खाना बन गया है, ऑफरिंग करने का है. ऑफरिंग करो ना. ऑफरिंग मैं नहीं करूँ, तुम ऑफरिंग करो. मैं ऑफरिंग करूँ, तुम हर मैं करता हूँ, तुम ऑफरिंग करो आज. राइट? तो ऑफरिंग कौन करेगा, उसके बाद थोड़ा क्या हो सकता है. हुआ है कभी ऐसा? दोनों को ऊपर इतना प्रेशर है ना, टू डू द नेक्स्ट थिंग, मे बी जॉब और यू नो. मैं रोटी बना रही हूँ ना, तो ऑफरिंग करो ना, तब प्लेट तो बनाओ कम से कम. मैं रोटी बना के आपको देती हूँ प्लेट में. नहीं नहीं, मेरे को मेरा झपा करने का, मेरा फिर रात को झपा करना अच्छा नहीं लगता मेरे को. अरे झपा झपा करते हो, ऑफरिंग करो. तो अपना कैसा होता है, कृष्ण कॉन्शियस फाइट्स. ऑफरिंग को ले कृष्णा बोलता है, कोई तो ऑफरिंग करो यार. कोई भी चलेगा मेरे को, लेकिन प्लेट तो रखो, तुलसी डालो. मेरे को भूख लगी है, आपको भूख नहीं लगी. It's so funny, you know, when devotees fight, it's really funny. They can fight on all sorts of transcendental matters. Yeah. So I think we'll end over here. I've spoken enough for the last 2 hours, 1.5 hours. There's a lot more to be spoken, but I thought I'll use these other more essential principles, कह सकते हैं, have been covered. Right? So we can take some questions now.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for the wonderful class. I had one doubt, Prabhuji. Like, it might be okay to forgive, but to forget is been challenging, I feel. So what we can do in that?
It's okay to what? Forgive.
We may be okay to forgive, but to forget is big, like very challenging. I feel like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So how to?
Yeah. See, it is in our own favor to forget. If you don't forget, who suffers? You suffer. Till you don't let go, until you don't release your mind in the pressure of that whole event, you don't forget it, you keep on suffering. Opposite person may have forgotten also. He fought, she fought, and वो खत्म हो गया वो तो she is also chanting Hare Krishna, be happy. But you are not forgotten, so you are like, mind is still. So best is to relieve yourself of that pain. They say sometimes in psychology, when you don't forgive somebody, not about husband, wife alone, could be anybody. Forgiveness is a shama. See in the Srimad Bhagavatam, if you see Srimad Bhagavatam, it's such a beautiful lesson to learn here. The very first story of Bhagavatam is Aswathama and Draupadi. You noted that? The first story of Mahabharata is Aswathama, the whole story. Brahmastra was released to kill Parishad Maharaj. Arjun goes, prays to Krishna. Ashwatthama killed all the surviving 5 sons of Draupadi in the night after the 18 days war. Krishna said, kill him. Arjun said, kill him. Draupadi said, cannot forgive him. My sons has been killed without a fight, without a good fight. Anyway, so there is a very, very painful situation. All the Pandavas are aggrieved. Draupadi is aggrieved. Krishna is very angry. Arjuna is like angry. Bhimsen is angry to the limits. And Krishna and Arjun go and they come back. And by the time they come back, and Ashwatthama is bound with ropes by Arjuna. Bandi, like an animal, it says. Bhagavatam is like an animal. And Draupadi, when he looks at Ashwatthama, he said, "Doc, please, I can't see this. Don't kill him. Because I know the pain of losing 5 children. Kripi, no, sorry, Gargi. Kripi. She should not go through this. जाने दो उसको. गुरु का बेटा है ना, जाने दो. So anyway, the story, it starts off with Kshama. What type of Kshama? Someone killed your sons. उसको क्षमा करने की बात कर रहे हैं हम लोग. बहुत हेवी टॉपिक है ना. When Dharmashastra says aggressors, burglars, wife stealers, anyone has to be. Dharmashastra allows you, Manusmriti will allow you to kill Ashwatthama. Manusmriti will say yes, right type of response. But Srimad Bhagavatam is way beyond Manusmriti. It is Paramamsa Puran. So it begins with a woman who's a Vaishnavi woman, Draupadi. She says, please let him go. Let him go. And then Krishna tells Arjuna, deal with him properly. So, cuts him in an awkward way and disfigures him, removes his jewel, right? So kills him but doesn't kill him type of thing is there, right? But the point I'm making is here that just imagine how the Bhagavatam begins by telling the reader to first practice Kshama Dharma. And then other things will follow, whatever else Bhagavatam has to teach you, baad mein aayega, right? So when it starts with a heavy story like a woman forgiving for her 5 sons, young sons being killed, what is our Kshama? What has our wife done to not being forgiven? What has she done? Has she killed your father? Has she killed your mother? Killed your brother? She has done something what? Something which is, as we say, very insignificant. Fight is also like that only. So we are not forgiving like, I forgive you. मैंने आपको क्या कर दिया? मेरी महानता है कि आपको मैं क्षमा कर रहा हूं. जाओ, क्षमा हो गई. Not like that. A devotee naturally forgives. A devotee is a person who naturally forgives. In fact, Radhanath Maharaj का एक लेक्चर है बहुत साल पहले का. He goes to explain that even as the offense is being performed, he has begun to forgive. अगर कोई humiliate कर रहा है आपको, insult कर रहा है ना, somebody is doing something, is hurting you, somebody is insulting you, saying all wild words against you. Even as that is being done, your heart has already started doing what? Forgiving. इतना महान होता है वैष्णव. Of course, उस लेवल पे हम नहीं है, but that is true. But what I'm point I'm trying to make for to you is that it is easy to forgive and forget when you understand that this is what is expected from a Vaishnava. And it is good for us, otherwise you will suffer. It's like holding a coal in your hand, burning coal. I can't forgive, I can't forgive, I can't forget. Either whatever, forgive, whatever it is. But holding a burning coal in your hand, what you should do? Take it and throw it. Otherwise you will burn your hands. है ना? Forget करना चाहिए. One of the principles after a fight or a quarrel is that don't dig old graves. Don't dig old graves. Suppose you had some misunderstanding 2 years back. Okay? And now today there is another misunderstanding. They may be connected topics or they may be unconnected. But the false ego can say, last time भी अपने ऐसे ही किया था. याद है आपको? 2 साल पहले ऐसे ही बोला था आपने. So what are you doing now? That thing has been buried. It's been buried, na? But what you're doing now, you're opening up that buried skeleton. Will it be beautiful? It will be very ugly. So don't dig old graves. जो दफन हो गया है उसको दफन ही रहने दो, है ना? ठीक है? So please forgive, because forgiveness is not complete till it is not forgotten. You cannot say I forgive but don't forget. Forgiveness itself is incomplete without the act of forgetting it. When you forget it, then the act of forgiveness is complete. That is incomplete. Any other question? Yes, Prabhu. First him and then you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. This question is related to the purpose of marriage. Like I heard from like few devotees and also whatever voidness we have in our heart, uh, like we should try to fulfill that with the connection we develop with the Guru and Krishna, not expect it from that it will come from our wife in the future and all. Whatever emotional satisfaction we want or that void which we are expected it to be filled, then like what should be the purpose to marry? And if someone is not having that strong connection with Hari Guru Vaishnavas and all, then what purpose, how he has to approach the marriage?
See, this brings us to a very fundamental thing about the psychological factor of needs and wants. Hai na? You know the difference, right? Wants and needs. I'm sure it has been discussed in your forum. So we're talking here about not wants. We're talking about we need to marry. Marriage is not a want. I want to marry. Whether you want to marry or not, don't forget it's also a, yeah. To marry a particular girl is I want to marry this girl. I want to marry this boy. It's a want. But marriage per se is a need. Is a need. It's a natural need. So we will have physical needs. We will have emotional needs. We will have spiritual needs. We will have social needs. Correct? So, whether you are a devotee, non-devotee, karmi, paramamsa, godas, goswami, whatever you are, these needs will always be there, and they have to be honored and they have to be respected. Correct? So, Krishna conscious, the marriage of Krishna consciousness is a very scientific process whereby we fulfill these needs in a very honorable and respectful way. There's a proper legal marriage. There is a Vaishnavas are present. They bless the marriage. The Vaishnava home is performed. It is sanctified by the Agni and the spiritual master, right? So it is a very proper scientific process of accepting the woman and man in your life. Now, primarily, in case of sometimes you may say that in non-devotee marriages, they may marry for more physical reasons, right? However, every time we have asked this question to young boys and girls in premarital discussions, why you want to get married? Why want to get married? Why want to get married? Why want to get... They almost always said, Prabhuji, for camaraderie. For camaraderie. And that's a very beautiful answer. It's a very natural answer. It's not a very lofty answer. That we wanted to have somebody like a comrade. Camaraderie is a friend, right? So actually devotees marry for physical reasons, yes, to have a physical relationship, eating together, sleeping together, walking together, living together, right? All those things are there. Sense of togetherness on the physical platform. But beyond that is more emotional connectivity. As I said, they could be and they should be best of friends. आज के दुनिया में wives you have to be submissive to your husband. Don't forget that. वो जमाना अभी क्या हो गया? जमाना चला गया. Nowadays, husband wife can be what? Equals. And both are submissive to each other out of love. It is no longer the standard formula. Wife has to be submissive, husband has to be the boss. ऐसा ही होना चाहिए. Now, because of true love, deep, genuine love, both are willing to be submissive to each other out of love. Ram is willing to be submissive to Sita's demand of getting a deer out of love for Sita. Right? And Sita is not going to think about Ravan for a millisecond also, instead of all his seductive approaches, out of her love for Lord Ram. Right? So we can see even husband-wife relationship of Ram and Sita, they're doing each other, whatever they're doing is out of love and submission for each other. The fact of submission is from both sides. You submit to love and affection, correct, from opposite person. So, on one side, we may say that we should not expect ultimately from the wife to not be the source of, our emotional need gratification. But actually, it is true. She is for that. The wife and husband actually are there to fulfill, as I said, this need for each other, for camaraderie. And only when that emotional connect is properly founded, is created, is established, is grounded properly, on that foundation you can start building the spiritual side and not the other way around. I will not be giving you idealistic answers. Okay, please don't mind me, right? I will give you answers which are doable, practical, viable. We must create a bond with our partners on the emotional platform first. Make her our friends. She is if someone asks me today also, in any so many gatherings, I'll say, Vishaka Priya is my best friend. I will tell in front of 1,000,000 people, I can tell that. My wife's name is Vishaka Priya. Okay. I can tell in front of 1,000,000 people that my friend, best friend in life. I'm supposed to say Krishna is my best friend, right? Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vandanam, Sakyam. But Krishna is very far for me right now. For me, my access to Krishna and And my happiness of doing devotional service comes because I have a very great friend in over here. And we're happily serving together Krishna and Guru, Vaishnavas. Right? So best friend is now my good wife. Correct? And she would be happy to get her emotional needs fulfilled from me, and I would be happy to fulfill her needs as well. Correct? So when that friendship is consolidated strongly, right, then a bond is created. And that bond is when one becomes very strong, then you can actually get the joy of serving Krishna consciousness together. You marry for spiritual reasons. I want to have a Krishna conscious partner. But on the very first 2 years of marriage, we can't really connect spiritually so well unless we have connected our minds together. Our minds comes together, then our souls come together. First, our minds have to come together. It is much more easier, much more practical, much more natural. The intent is spiritual, but the approach is through the mind. The intent is we want to have a spiritual relationship with our partners, right? But the road to spiritual connectivity with our partners is through the mind. Are you getting me? Right? So getting emotional needs gratified from the spiritual master, very difficult. He is a spiritual master. He is not supposed to cater to your emotional needs. In fact, this conception of spiritual master is difficult to really, endure, because if you're expecting that from your guru, you may be disappointed. Suppose a guru has got 10,000 disciples. You expect him to fulfill people's emotional needs, right? If the guru has 50 disciples, then he knows their names, he knows their wives' names, he may know the children's names also, he may know what job you are doing, he may know what is your background, he may come to your house, he may take prasad with you, right? And he can have a very close, intimate, emotional relationship with you. But suppose the spiritual master has got 10,000 disciples. Can you go to a 10,000 disciples' houses? So the spiritual master will fulfill your spiritual needs, right? And he will guide you how to have your emotional needs satisfied by leading a nice, happy Grihastha ashram. He will guide you to do that. He won't participate in your emotional needs of your family life so much. Sometimes the spiritual master may come for somebody's marriage. If they have, again, as said, this is possible sometimes. But otherwise, even that is not possible most of the time. I was lucky that my marriage was performed by my spiritual master, Radhanath Swami. Very, very fortunate. Very, very. It's the only marriage that Radhanath Swami has performed. Not that I am special, but that mercy was special, definitely. But so Krishna, and with Krishna also, it takes a while. It takes a while to, really develop a very genuine relation with Krishna. The Sahajiyas may start thinking that they have a relation with Krishna automatically. Krishna, beautiful. Today is very charming. Krishna is. And then the Sahajiyas may start seeing Krishna in a different way, right? And they think they have emotional relationship with Krishna. And they look at him and they will cry. My dear. But that's all Sahajiya. Genuinely speaking, The husband and wife relationship is based on physical, emotional, and spiritual. Husband cares for the wife's physical needs, emotional needs, and spiritual needs. The wife cares for the husband's physical needs, emotional needs, spiritual needs. When both of them are catering and open and happy to help each other on all these three platforms, then the relationship is very powerful. It's like a triple bond. In chemistry, you have single bond, double bond, triple bond. Single bond is sodium chloride. You put it in water, what happens? It ionizes. सोडियम हियर क्लोराइड देयर. अरे अभी तो शादी किया था, पानी में डाला तो सोडियम उधर, क्लोराइड उधर, राइट. डबल बॉन्ड, सम हियर सम देयर, मैग्नीशियम सल्फेट एंड समथिंग, थोड़ा सा कैल्शियम कार्बोनेट, थोड़ा बॉन्ड थोड़ा. बट हाइड्रोकार्बन यू पुट इन वाटर, ट्रिपल बॉन्ड, carbon valence is 4, never breaks. We want hydrocarbons. We don't want sodium chloride. Okay? Triple bond. Triple means, that means we are bonded together physically, emotionally, and spiritually. You like this triple bond? Hare Krishna. Any other question? You had a question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for such a wonderful class. Prabhuji, for in application point of view, all these things, when I think that to apply the 3 questions which you ask, is it okay for me to speak, or is it okay to speak, it's okay for me to speak, and it's okay for me to speak now, and also being kind, sensitive, etc., or polite. When I think that if I'm applying these principles in relationship with some superior, it becomes little easier to apply. When it comes to co-devotee friends, then although it's little difficult, still I can try, like that I get feeling. But when I have to apply these principles, say in husband and wife relationship, I feel it's actually very difficult, Prabhuji. So what exactly it makes that relationship, applying these principles difficult? Is it because Atiparchay Tavajnat has happened, or why exactly the proper respect is not there, or what exactly is the reason?
So, no, with the husband and wife relationship, you may find it difficult because there is a far more level of openness, right, and transparency in the relationship. With superiors and others, you can put up some barriers or facade, but in the house you are off guard. So you are as it is. You're in your as it is situation. So therefore, when you're as it is situation, your as it is nature comes out. Right? In the outside world, you are not as it is, you are as you want to be. So then you're able to apply that better. In ghar pe, in your pajamas, in your kurtas, you're not in your tuxedo or 3-piece suit. You're natural. Wife also isn't a natural. Everything is natural. So then both are natural. So both are as it is. So when you're as it is, then you are as it is comes out from inside. Right? But we learn. So what happens is, we sometimes learn by doing the wrong things. That's all right. If you do something wrong, don't beat yourself. Don't curse yourself. Right? Forgive yourself. Right? But there is something to learn. When husband and wife fight, have quarrels, there's always something to learn from that. It is there to teach us something. Actually, when you see the quarrels in a right light, it makes you grow. You grow from that. So there can be what you call as healthy fights also. This may find surprising to you. There are unhealthy fights and healthy fights. Unhealthy fights are very destructive because they threaten the core of the relationship, the bond. They're very unhealthy. But healthy fights are just based on some superficial misunderstanding. And then when you make a mistake, then you know next time you realize, oh, I should not do this. This makes her angry. So you, for example, realize that my wife does not like this. My wife. So you do something, and if you do that thing, you know the wife is going to become angry. Again you do that. Again you do the same thing you did. Last time I told you not to do this, no? So you know that your relation with her is going to be a little more, easier if you don't do that thing. So what happened is you did something for her pleasure, right? Not to make her angry, but to keep her peaceful. I will not do this even though I want to do it because it disturbs my wife. Right? So actually, when the husband-wife relationship can become very beautiful, where you do things to make her happy and she does things to make you happy. If that can happen, generally we do things to make whom happy? She does things to make whom happy? But in a vice relationship, it should be vice versa. We do things because I'll do this today. Why want to do this today? Because it makes my husband very happy. And I'll do this today. Why want to do this today? Because I want to make my wife very happy. When that is a thought process, is extremely beautiful and very, very spiritual. Because in spiritual life, your happiness, what is spiritual life actually? Spiritual life is not something just utopian. When your happiness is dependent on making somebody else happy, that is spiritual. आपकी खुशी में किसकी खुशी? मेरी खुशी. अगर आप दुखी हैं तो मैं भी दुखी हूं. If your wife is happy, then automatically you are happy. Correct? Because you are part of her and she's a part of you. If your hand is unhappy, then your whole thing is unhappy, your whole body is unhappy because a hand is hurting. You know? So when the wife is a part of the husband is part of the wife. So when you do things to make her happy, so that's why it is difficult. You got the point? Any other question? The ladies have any questions? Or maybe they're a little shy. You can send a note if you want. Anonymous question. Any Prabhus?
This aspect, Proji, which you just now mentioned, was so amazing. I think you mentioned it earlier or another place I have heard this, that if the husband and wife, they can see each other as like the personal mercy of Krishna manifested exactly to help me to purify my anarthas. So whatever the other person is having in them, which we might be thinking as disturbing me, but actually that is given by Krishna so that it's like personally crafted by Krishna for me to be able to purify myself actually. If we can have that vision, then as you said, the journey of maturity actually begins so much that we can see that, okay, I should change myself, not the other person.
Correct. Very important. Well said. Yeah. So don't try to change your partner. If you try to change your partner, you will be frustrated. You'll be miserable. It won't happen, right? But try to mold yourself to fit into your partner. That means you're trying to make her happy. Hmm. Like I give example, biological example of ball and socket joint. The hip joint. There is a bone called a femur, and there's a pelvic bone called acetabulum. It's like this, and this is the head of the femur. It goes exactly. So जैसा curvature है femur का, वैसे ही exactly curvature है pelvis का. So then it properly rotates. So because it is very nicely stuck like that, and they are congruent surfaces, therefore very rarely you'll find the hip joint getting dislocated. Right? Because there is a deep curve. The cup of the acetabulum is very deep. You'll find people having shoulder dislocation. because the surface of the acromial joint is like this. थोड़ा सा cup is very shallow. तो bone, humerus bone ऐसा घूमता है लेकिन वो निकल सकता है. But the cup of the acetabulum is like this. Like this. Correct? So when you are like this, then there is very smooth movement and there is no separation possible. Right? So this surface is molded for this person and this surface is molded for this person. Rubber. It's called ball and socket. Both are exactly fitting into each other. That's how we're supposed to be, husband and wife, like a ball and socket joint. Doctor's brains kya karega? I can't think of better examples. Yeah. Anything else? Should we end here? Want to ask something? Okay. 115 was Prasad, he said. 130. No problem.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you for a wonderful class. So I one of the lecture of Maharaj I was hearing, and in that Maharaj was glorifying all the grahastas of Raga Gopinath temple. He was telling that how his grahastas, he was mentioning your example also, how they are attached to so much to the temple services. They are performing so many services, preaching, so much contributing to the mission. And even though they have some material obligations like job, family, everything. So my question is how to make sure that the missionary spirit of to remain alive within a grahastha, even though such obligations might be there, and especially in Kali Yuga where one has to work outside, or deal with material people. So how does that happen? And from your life, how did it happen? And some lessons which we can learn so that it will be helpful for us.
See, at Radhakupara temple, things were, and wherever that model has been seen, what we call as a temple-centric life, you know. So otherwise, job-centric life or family-centric life or whatever, money-centric life or career-centric life. These are all the various centric lives which you see. But what happened at Gopinath Mandir is nice example for those who can follow the example that wherever we were staying, whether close to temple or far from the temple, that didn't really matter. Right? Like you could be close to Abed's temple or away from, I don't know, whatever. I don't know the distances in Hyderabad. Right? But the attachment to the deities, attachment to the devotees in the temple was a strong call and bond. Then you wanted to go and see the deities. You wanted to serve them, dance for them, pray to them, and make flower garlands for them, bring some fruits for them, go and serve in the prasadam hall for them, cook for them, you know. Like for example, cooking ka, we had turns. So we had counselors. Huh? So each counselor ka turn hai, each counselor. So each counselor would come with his own team of counselees. And that day the brahmacharis would be attending the program and all, right? And we would do all the cooking, right? It was not that the masala wala jo part tha that they would do, putting the chalk and all that, because that was technically demanding. You won't know how much rai and tail to put in. It could be a say something would happen, right? But regarding making the dough, cutting the sabji, boiling the potatoes, and making all those things which are necessary, all the background work before the actual stuff takes place, everything was done by devotees. And you would leave our homes and reach temple by 7:15. And if more devotees came, you would finish about 2 घंटे में खत्म हो जाता था. And even when that cutting of sabji is going on, then they would put a speaker in the Bhagwan classes going on in the temple hall on the first floor. And they put a nice 2-3 speakers, and you're cutting sabji and you're hearing the class. Class is over, then you sit in circles. One is कोई मिर्ची काट रहा है, कोई धनिया काट रहा है, कोई आलू काट रहा है, कोई पनीर काट रहा है, and all of them will singing Harinam in small circles while cutting. right? It was so beautiful, so nourishing, so purifying, right? Cutting sabji for Krishna's pleasure, Vaishnava's pleasure. So we didn't go to temple only on festivals. That was obviously there. But we created a lifestyle where there is a strong sense of belonging. ये मेरा मंदिर है. This is my temple, right? Innocent sense of belonging, right? ये मेरा घर है ना, sense of belonging होता है ना, ये मेरा घर है, ये तुम्हारा घर, ये मेरा घर है, right? So this is my temple. These are my deities. These are my worshipable lords. Shri Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Gopinath, Radha Shyam Sundar, Radha Madhav, right? So you wanted to go and meet them. You wanted to go and serve them. You wanted to be with their devotees, be in the kirtan, dance in front of them, right? So, and after the program was over, you would sit with the devotees and just have socialization with them. So the program would get over, say, by 3:30, 4 o'clock, right? And then nobody went home. 3 घंटे के लिए उधर बैठ के क्या करने का? गप्पा गोष्ठी. Just connecting with people. Just how are things going on? Talking, laughing, joking, sharing life. That's all. So sometimes we would go home, we would leave, come for Mangal Arati at 5 o'clock and leave home for at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. And who would become mad? Our parents. दिन मंदिर में क्या करते हैं आप लोग? इतना घंटा मंदिर में क्या करते हैं? हम भी मंदिर में जाते हैं, 10 मिनट बैठते हैं, पूजा पाठ करते हैं, फिर वापस आते हैं. आप 12 घंटे क्या करते हो? से आपको नहीं समझेगा हम क्या करते हैं. ये हम लोग आपको बता नहीं सकते क्या करते हैं हम लोग. समय निकल जाता है, बाहर निकलने का बंद नहीं होता है. वो तो आप लोग को याद आती है इसलिए घर आते हैं, तो उधर ही रहते थे हम लोग. It was maddening. It was practically maddening. Every family would have a fight with their parents because they came late. All loving fights and not nothing serious fights like that. You know? When children don't come home, then बहू घर पे नहीं आई तो बहू घर पे नहीं है, बहू घर पे होनी चाहिए, 7 बजे तक होनी चाहिए. Parents get wild. It's one of those things. But it was always temple centric. So then when you get so much from the temple, nourishment, love, care, shelter, ashray, it's a very deep, fulfilling thing, right? It is your ashray. It's not just a temple, like a structure. Temple. It's like a structure, na? It is not just a temple. It is a place where you get ashray, right? Now there is prasad and dancing. So even it is a lot of fun there, a lot of connectivity there, and your services are there. So it is sarvasva tomar. It becomes like everything for you is there. All your needs are being fulfilled. Rishikena Rishikesha, all the indriyas are getting satisfied in the temple. You see beautiful deities dressed very nicely, right? You hear nice katha. You dance there with the devotees. Long Guru Puja and long Shingar Arati and all. खूब नाचने का, तुलसी आरती में भी नाचने का, नाचते रहने का. राजभोग आरती में तो खूब नाचने का. And after that, after the kirtan is over, Sunday feast, और नाचने का. Till your legs are sore. आज दबारे मेरा पैर दुख रहा है ज्यादा, तो वो दबाएगा, मैं तेरा दबाऊंगा. Tired, completely tired, exhausted, right? So when you get this ashray, then you want to do what? Reciprocate. Then you want to naturally, when you're getting so much from the Lord's temple, devotees, from the spiritual masters, Vaishnavas, then you want to reciprocate. And that is the seed for missionary work. That's how missionary work starts. The mission means you want to reciprocate with Prabhupada for giving us this shelter of this transcendental knowledge, this whole institute of ISKCON. Then you want to do something for ISKCON, something for Prabhupada, something for that your temple, something for your community, something you want to do. Do just in the beginning like a child, you just keep taking. Na? As you grow, you want to, then you have your own money, then you want to give to your parents. Na? Vaisa. So when you in the beginning, new bhakta, he just keeps taking. But you're not a new bhakta after for a long time. Then when you settle down from the new bhakti stage, then you go on to the next stage. I want to help the temple. So when you are there like that, and he always like that, and he always like that, and you have a lot of people who are thinking in that way, and they become your best friends. They all want to serve in the temple, right? They become a team for you. है ना? They become your natural friends for you. And that's how your relationship with them grows even further, because now you're serving with them together for a common cause. The common cause could be Prabhupada, could be ISKCON, could be spiritual master, could be the deities, common. So you're common. So your bond, you're having your horizontal bond and you're creating vertical bonds also. And just feel completely satisfied. And the more you do that for the temple and the Lord, the more the Lord gives you shelter. You feel more and more satisfied, much, very, very fulfilled. And that reciprocation goes on, never unendingly, with the Lord and the Lord's devotees. You know? And that makes it very beautiful. And slowly, because of that, you lose attraction for the things of this world. All this looks a little pale. It's important, it's relevant, but it's not like, I want to have, I want to have. It's relevant because you need to have whatever need to have, you need to have. But it's not like your goal of life. It's like goes in the category of doing the needful. It goes in that category. पैसा कमाना जरूरी है, जॉब करना जरूरी है, फैमिली को मेंटेन करना जरूरी है, right? It's doing the needful, but your heart is somewhere else. Slowly. Hare Krishna.
Actually, what you are saying is the kind of essence of Vaishnava has to feel shelter, ashraya. And that ashraya is what makes a person missionary later on. Very beautiful, you said, Prabhuji. Very, very wonderful. In that, what I have observed that like faith also plays a role, Prabhuji.
Yep.
Like if like for example, otherwise people start feeling like the amount of time somebody spends, so much time they have to spend in Krishna consciousness, it's voluntary, but still a person may feel like insecurities, material insecurities come. I could have spent and done this, I could have progressed here, I could have got this success also, or that thing that these things also start coming to the minds of people also if they don't have proper faith.
Yeah.
So how to
By Shraman, that faith comes from Shraman, Prabhuji. And see, we go to temple, we're not going to while our time and have a good having a good time. It's not like a club. क्लब में क्या होता है? क्लब में जाते मजा आता है ना. क्लब बैठे रहो, कैरम खेलो, टेनिस खेलो, स्विमिंग करो, खाओ पियो, मजा करो, नाचो पियो. वो क्लब में जाते हैं तो ऐसा होता है. But it is just nourishing your superficial needs, right? But you go to temple, in a very serious way, you're getting all these things done, because you sit in a class, for example, right, and listen to the senior devotees there, and they're giving their heartfelt realizations. You're reading Srimad Bhagavatam verses and all. You can connect. A lot of eternal knowledge being spoken from the Vyasasana, right? So it starts sinking, and it creates your own faith. It nourishes your own faith. Our faith may be whatever fledgling faith, chota faith, whatever it is. But the person sitting on the Vyasasana is not like that. He is much more advanced than you, or he's a spiritual master, right? Or a temple president, or whatever, like that. The experienced person, right? And he's speaking from Srimad Bhagavatam, not speaking his own stuff. He's speaking Srimad Bhagavatam, which is like the highest. So then, hearing from such people who have faith nourishes your own faith. The knowledge starts slowly, and the seva increases your desire to hear. And the more you hear, the more you want to do seva. It's also a very reciprocal thing. The more you hear, it nourishes your soul, and then you want to reciprocate by doing some more seva. And because you do seva, you get the power to understand that philosophy. The philosophy is not meant for brain substance. It's not meant for the brain. A lot of us may think he knows a lot of philosophy. क्या करना है? Not a philosophy, matlab kya? Right? It's not of knowing philosophy. How much are you able to live the philosophy? Are you living it or just knowing it? Right? So, when you really start serving Krishna, serving the Vaishnavas and serving the mission of the Lord, then Krishna reciprocates by giving the power to understand, because it is actually Guyam. It is Raja Guyam. It cannot be understood by the material brain. Even a person in IIT, MIT cannot understand. Right? कि क्या है ये चीज? And a simple cobbler can understand sometimes. The story of the cobbler and the Brahman is there. Right? So it's a matter of actually doing some genuine services in the temple. Therefore, we should be encouraging our people कि temple से जुड़िए. See, that's the purpose of establishing temples. Right? That because the temple, when the deities are there, when the deity creates huge avenues for seva. If you have just some picture, right? Now you have something like a diorama. Okay. That is also is like one step ahead of just a pictures, right? Pictures that you can do some seva, some garland banaya, ठीक है, थोड़ा छोटा आरती किया. Dioramas, something more. When deities would come, wherever deities come, deities create, you require 12 brahmacharis. And you require this. You have to have 6 offerings. Each offering में क्या है? खिचड़ी ऑफर किया 3 बार. You have to at least राजभोग में 12 आइटम राजभोग में. For that require at least 3-4 cooks, good cooks. कुक करने के बाद कोई क्लीन करने के लिए 3 लोग चाहिए. तो 3 लोग कुक करेंगे, 3 लोग क्लीन करेंगे, फिर पूजा ऑफर करने वाला कोई चाहिए, तो ऑफरिंग करने वाला कोई चाहिए. So then when the deities arrive, the deities are so powerful that they create huge avenues for creating servants and said, please offer a service. They come to receive our service. Deities come to receive our love, our care, and our service. They come to this world for that. And the deities, right? Why should the Krishna come from there? Because he wants all of us to accept our service. He comes in the material world. Right? So deities come, they do give. So that's why temples are established. So create service opportunities for all of us. Therefore, a devotee hankers for seva. He is not satisfied just living with his wife and children and job and his own sadhana and bus, full stop. That is basic Krishna conscious family life. Basic. And that's good beginning. It's nice, right? But then one has to grow beyond that. To do something for the mission, for the temple, for the community. That's where the joy is. Like I heard in Gachibowli, they had 40 Rath Yatras. No, ये कमाल है. 40 Rath Yatras तो सभी सुना नहीं मैंने. Right? Every gated community has a Rath Yatra. So कितने लोग उसमें इन्वॉल्व हो गए होंगे ना? ये भी कर रहे हैं, वो किया, आया क्या, वो क्या, गालन बनाया क्या, रथ आया क्या, जगन्नाथ को बिठाया क्या, कीर्तन कौन करने वाला, मृदंग कौन बजाएगा, so much management this and 40 Rath Yatras. So when Krishna is made, when you do like that for the Krishna, then Krishna reciprocates and you feel joyful. As I heard they did in some school also. I heard that. In some schools also. This is wonderful. It's wonderful. So it may not be exactly temple, but it is, the deities are being served. Jagannath is going everywhere in the school. So that means we all need to have some responsible, designated service. कि भाई ये आपकी सेवा है, ये आपकी सेवा है. You have to do this. You are responsible for this. If you don't come, it's fine. But you say that it is done by somebody else. But it is your department, your seva. So we become responsible. As we become more responsible to serve, we grow. Responsibility in Krishna consciousness makes a devotee grow. Always. But till we don't take responsibilities, we may tend to stagnate into our own limited comfort zone type of lifestyle. But if we have to grow, then you must do your domestic duties, family responsibilities, etc. And then a little bit more for the mission. And when you do for the mission, then you grow. right? Yeah.
Especially like His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj's vision, which he had towards opening this Bhaktivedanta hospital, and this becoming itself a community. As you rightly said, it will not be temple, but DT centric, service, Vaishnava service centric, preaching centric, Krishna conscious movement centric. So how Maharaj envisioned that, and finally it is shaping up that I think Vaishnava Seva Prabhu always says that the number of devotees made by the hospital is more than many times more than the devotees made by the temple in a year. Number of malas distributed, for example. I mean, I'm not comparing, but the sake of
But even though what you say is true, it still began with the temple, and the satisfaction, fulfillment, and the pleasure of having experienced 10% life, then that uh, went into taking care of projects. Then projects were born out of that. That environment gave rise to projects, right? So Bhakti became grew from that. Gopal's Garden grew from that. GV grew from that, right? Other preaching centers or satellite centers grew from that. Somebody went to Pune, somebody went to Ratnagiri, somebody went to Nasik. So they wanted to go and preach. But it was coming from the temple. Hmm. So even though, in fact, there's a long history, but in very short, the hospital which is right now in Mira Road, now we doctors, the original doctors, we were crazy, right? We were mad. We are mad people, and our we wanted to start the hospital in Boisar. When we went searching for land, and Maharaj said, search for land, and you have to settle down now because you have to practice, be serious practitioners. You cannot be doing camps and camps for all your life into all the villages. You have to have some solid place where you can practice. So we were like 150 kilometers away from the temple, right? So some senior devotee doctors came from to see with Maharaj. Maharaj, let us go. What these people are saying? कहाँ बनाने वाला हॉस्पिटल देखते हैं? बोले इतना दूर मंदिर से हैं, ये मंदिर में कैसे आएंगे ये लोग? So महाराज ने बोला plan cancel because this is very far from temple, right? And when Maharaj saw the land which we saw in Mira Road, Maharaj said, this is very nice. This is only 45 minutes from the temple. You can be here, you can come to the temple, you can serve here. So none of us lost that touch. Even today, after so many years, we go to temple every week, once a week at least. So Vishakapuri and myself, we go for deity dressing every Thursday in the morning. We go there and come back. For the last 35 years, we do that, right? So we still feel that connection. When the hospital has grown up now and it has become what it has become, right? Still, our roots are in the temple, and the branches may have come to Mira Road or wherever the branches can go. The roots are Radha Gopinath. 17th of July. Today is 12th, na? 13th, 12th, 12th. 17th of July is Radha Gopinath's birthday. It is his Brahmotsavam, but the temple is getting renovated now. Maharaj gave some plans to renovate the temple, so a lot of construction material and stuff like that is there. So otherwise, every year we have a Brahmotsav where the entire congregation from Amarnath, Badlapur, Palghar, Boisar, of course, Mira Road, New Bombay, every devotee from all four directions will come to Radha Gopinath and spend the whole day there with the deities. And then one of the finest things, and usually Radha Gopinath Prabhu will conduct that. And one of the beautiful things we do on that day is, and there are some skits and dramas and all that is there. Cultural programs are there, dance. The deities are taken on the round on Palki, all around the temple. Devotees sing, they have fireworks for the deities' pleasure, many nice things. And one of the finest things we do on that day is to sing the Gopinath song. Mama Nivedana Suno विसाई दुर्जाना सदा कामराता किchu nahi mora gun. There are three stanzas, three parts. So you will sing that. And every devotee practically is crying together. Gopinath is here and Mama Niyojana Sunu, please listen to me. I'm Kamera Dasa. Like that. It's very, very wonderful. Yeah, so this is the point I was trying to make. The temple is so important in our life. Okay, so we'll end here. Mataji, I have to leave at 2 o'clock. Okay, we should honor the ladies also. I should take that question. Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, when I'm hearing you, I feel that, I mean, like the connection between not only with Maharaj but among all the devotees who are there in the temple is so strong, like with all the congregation or even the brahmacharis, because in every brahmotsav, like senior devotees used to come and tell from the asan, and the pastimes like which they share, it was like they have more relationship with the devotees than their family members also. So how that developed, Prabhuji, like among the devotees, especially among the grihasthas, how it was developed?
See, in those days, and it can be done anywhere, the relationships which were nourished in the temple were not limited to the temple. Then, even when we went to our homes, the relationships were still there. So we would go to each other's homes. प्रभु जी घर पे आओ ना, आज बेटी का शादी है, बेटी का बर्थडे है, या डीडीज का एनिवर्सरी है, या कुछ नहीं, आज खाली आ जाओ बस. क्यों आने का? कुछ क्या करेंगे प्रभु जी, प्रसाद खाएंगे, कथा करेंगे, आ जाओ घर पे. 2-3 दोस्तों को बुलाया मैंने, right? So we just went to each other's houses and just shared good time and shared Krishna consciousness and shared our life, right? And that led to 6 loving exchanges, which is the formula of Padrupa Goswami, and led to what? Bonds. Vaishnava bonds were created with that. And they were lifelong bonds. They are not superficial bonds like today I have a friend and tomorrow, very bold. Lifelong friends. You made lifelong friends. So yes, you have to see all the relations which the Lord gives you, you have to nourish them. You have to invest time. So you invest, like all of us invest, all of you guys, I'm sure, are investing in some gold or property or mutual fund or post office or something, right? Everyone is investing. We need to invest in relationships. That is, investing in Vaishnava relationship is our real wealth. This is our true, real family. Not that other family is not important. We are mindful of that responsibility. But this is the larger Krishna family. Therefore, the devotees are called as Sajatiya. Sajatiya, Jati. You know Jati? Last, हमारे जाति का है. ये हमारा जाति का है. ये हमारा जाति का नहीं है. Right? Jati. So, we are all Sajatiyas. That means we are of the same caste. We belong to Krishna's family. Right? So we are all part of one beautiful family. So we need to do what? Invest time, invest energy, you go to these other houses. If one should do that. Otherwise, it's nice to meet in the temple and for programs and festivals. But when you do that beyond that also, then it's a much more closer relationships developed.
How could you do that, Prabhuji? Because you'll be busy in your daily things or job or something. But how could you give time to invest in that relationships?
You see, if you're not chasing madly the career and money, then you can create time. If you are overwhelmed by the the needs for pursuing money and career, then you have no time whatsoever. Right? So you work hard, but don't work over hard. Right? You work for those 8 hours or whatever is required. you you see that your Krishna conscious goals are catered to, and let your life be centered around that. You revolve the life around, see, your Krishna conscious goals are taken care of. Your goal for your sadhana, goal for adequate rest, your goal for your devotional activities, that is taken care of, right? So to work hard in such a way, or to take care of the family in such a way which compromises all these other things, is undesirable, right? And not only undesirable, maybe even detrimental to our spiritual growth. So that is what is called as buddhi yoga, where we intelligently use our buddhi to take care of all these other things also. It requires planning, it requires thinking. So husband and wife should discuss. You're married, right? You should discuss that how we can expand and do more than what we are doing, right? How can we grow in our relationships with Vaishnavas, with the devotees, the temple, with the spiritual master, with the mission, right? That requires some amount of sacrifice. Requires some sacrifice. It doesn't come easy. You have to let go something to gain something. Something higher, something lower, you have to give away.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hari Hari. So
Hari Bol.
let's thank His Grace Dwarkadish Prabhuji for enlightening us, enlivening us, and sharing his joy from his heart of the good those days of Radha Gopinath Mandir which we hear about. Prabhu, as I said to you in the beginning, that Prabhuji has been in very close association of His Holiness Radha Maharaj, as well as the senior group of Vaishnavas whom Maharaj personally groomed. So he has carried that wisdom, stored that in his storehouse of that wisdom, and we are so grateful to you, Prabhuji, that we could receive, some droplets of that nectar, which we are actually relishing, relishing so much in your heart. Let's thank His Grace Dwarkadish Prabhu by 3 times loudly chanting. Hari Bo, Hari Bo. We hope and pray that we also receive such mercy in our life, that we can have such faith that Krishna consciousness is all in all, devotees are all in all, deities are all in all, Vaishnavas are all in all. We can also have that faith and try our baby steps to become Krishna conscious. Seek your prayers and blessings, Prabhuji. Hari Hari.